Farther down the street, Anita had run from the gunshots. But she couldn't leave. She turned and saw Daniel and Jasmine fleeing, half-dressed, hiding behind the car. Melvin stood at the front door, gun still in hand, his entire body trembling with rage. He screamed, "After everything I did for you, Jasmine, this is how you repay me? All the love I gave, all the sacrifices I made, you just spit on it like it meant nothing. I'm not surprised by Daniel, he's worthless. But you shattered my heart." He raised the gun again. "If either of you so much as steps on my property again, I will put bullets through your chests. You hear me? I am done with both of you. Now get out." Jasmine stepped forward, about to kneel and beg, but Melvin roared, "Get you." He fired again, and she ran back behind the car, finally putting on the rest of her clothes. They crawled toward the gate like cowards. Melvin then turned to see Anita standing far off. "Anita, get inside. Now." As she passed by Jasmine and Daniel, they both shot her a glare full of venom. Jasmine snarled, "We had a deal, Anita, and you broke it. I will repay you, even if it's the last thing I do." Melvin heard that, but said nothing. He returned the gun to his drawer and took a long breath. He hadn't meant to go that far, but something inside him snapped. Back in the living room, Anita stood, guilt flooding her face. Melvin walked down the stairs and saw her. She couldn't look at him. Then, without warning, he grabbed her by the throat. She gasped, lifting her eyes to meet his. His voice shook with rage. "How long have you known about their affair?" I found out on my second day here," she choked. He flung her across the room. She landed on her hands and knees, coughing. "You betrayed me too, Anita. You knew and you kept quiet. I gave you everything, and you're no different from them." She clutched her throat, tears spilling as she watched him storm out of the house. Moments later, she heard the sound of his car driving away. She collapsed to the floor in tears. Melvin sat silently inside his car, parked at the edge of a busy park. He watched people coming and going, smiling couples, parents with children, people laughing, living lives far removed from his shattered reality. This park used to hold beautiful memories for him. He had brought Jasmine here often when she was still grieving, back when she was battling depression after losing her mother and sister in a tragic accident. He had found her broken, standing in the middle of the road, and almost run her over. That was the start of everything. He took her to the hospital, gave her a place to stay, a reason to smile again. And eventually, he gave her his heart. And now, they had both betrayed him. Not just Jasmine, but Anita too. The girl he rescued from being sold like merchandise. The girl who had seen the truth and said nothing. If he hadn't turned back for that forgotten document, he would have gone ahead with the wedding. He would have married Jasmine, never knowing she had been sleeping with Daniel, his own brother. What did she even see in him? Daniel was younger, yes, but unemployed, lazy, irresponsible. He had no ambition, no drive. And yet she chose him over Melvin, the man who had given her everything. He recalled all the times he'd traveled for business, leaving the two of them behind. How naive he had been, thinking Jasmine might be lonely, while they were probably laughing behind his back the moment he walked out the door. And Daniel, he had his pick of women, but he went after the one person Melvin loved, the only woman he had ever truly cared about. There was no way he could still travel. His mind was a wreck. Now he knew what real heartbreak felt like. His anger toward Jasmine was beyond words. And the wedding? That was the cruelest part. He had poured millions into planning a grand celebration, just for her. He didn't even care for extravagant events. But she had always dreamed of a wedding that would make her the envy of every woman in the city. She wanted the limelight, the glory of marrying a billionaire. Guests had already started arriving at his private resort. Some had traveled from across the country. He had even put Terry in charge of entertaining them until the big day. He was supposed to arrive at the resort on the eve of the wedding, just to give Jasmine space to get ready. That was the plan. Now, it all felt like a cruel joke. He thought back to the day he brought Anita home. How Jasmine had confronted him, accusing him of betrayal. What a hypocrite she turned out to be. He didn't know how long he had been sitting there, but when he looked around, the sun had dipped low. It was already evening. With a sigh, he rolled up his window and called Terry. His best friend answered excitedly. "We're all at the resort, bro. Having a blast. When are the bride and groom showing up? This place is paradise, man. I swear, your wedding's gonna be the talk of the town." "There's not going to be a wedding," Melvin said flatly. Terry laughed. "Come on, man. Don't tell me pre-wedding jitters are hitting you now." "I'm serious," Melvin snapped. "I've kicked Jasmine out of my house and out of my life. If she so much as shows her face near me again, I swear she might not walk away." There was silence on the line. "Wait, you're not joking," Terry said, stunned. "Okay, where are you? Let's meet. I'm coming to you." "Let's meet at your favorite bar," Melvin said. "I need a drink." 30 minutes later, Terry arrived at the bar to find Melvin already halfway through his second bottle of beer. That alone was shocking. Melvin was not a man who drank often. He took a seat beside him. "What happened?" he asked softly. Melvin let out a bitter laugh. "I've been played, Terry. By everyone. Jasmine has been sleeping with Daniel right under my nose." Terry's eyes widened. The worst part? It wasn't even a fling. They're in love. They were talking about kicking me out of my own house and turning my bedroom into theirs. "What?" "I found out today. But the real kicker is Anita, the girl I saved from the black market. She knew. She found out on her second day here and kept quiet." Terry frowned. "Damn. That's..." "I was on my way to the airport when I realized I left a document behind. I turned back and saw Anita outside. I asked her to fetch it. She brought it, then broke down and told me Jasmine and Daniel were in my room. I went upstairs and saw them with my own eyes. Naked. Laughing." Terry was speechless for a moment, then whispered, "I'm so sorry, bro. I really don't know what to say. I know how much you loved Jasmine." Melvin gave a hollow laugh. "Everyone does. That's why it hurts this much." Terry looked conflicted. "I mean, I understand your pain, and you have every right to be angry. But are you sure calling off the wedding is the right move?" Melvin turned to him slowly, eyes burning. "Are you insane?" "No, I just... You think I should still go through with the wedding? Marry someone who was screwing my brother in my own house? What should I do? Smile and stand at the altar like a fool while she plays her part as the sweet, innocent bride?" Terry fell silent. "I'm not going to be a part of her little fairy tale," Melvin said coldly. "Not anymore." Terry tapped Melvin on the back. "Calm down, my friend. I'm not saying you should still marry Jasmine, and I'm certainly not suggesting you show up alone at the altar. I just want you to think about your reputation." Melvin scoffed and downed another shot. "I'm serious," Terry said. "If word gets out, it's going to be a disaster. You'll become a laughingstock. Jasmine and Daniel will be somewhere laughing, drinking to your humiliation." He leaned in. "What I'm suggesting is, get a stand-in bride. Make an agreement with her. After 6 months or a year, pay her off and send her away quietly. Most of your guests don't know her personally. They came for you, not for your bride. Trust me, no one will notice the switch if she's dressed right and plays her part." Melvin stared at him, brows furrowed. "Think about it," Terry added. "You invited the media. If the wedding gets cancelled, the story of your bride cheating on you will be everywhere. But if the wedding proceeds as planned, no one knows what happened behind the scenes. Your image stays intact, and Jasmine and Daniel are the ones who lose." "That's a clever plan," Melvin admitted, rubbing his jaw. "But it's risky. I've already been betrayed. I'm done with women for now. I don't need another one turning on me." "In that case, use Anita," Terry suggested. "She's old enough. She may not be as flashy as Jasmine, but she's beautiful in her own right. People will believe you fell for her." Melvin looked at him sharply. "She's just a girl," Terry continued. "She has no reason to double-cross you. She'll be grateful for the opportunity. And when the time comes, pay her off and send her on her way." "I don't trust her," Melvin snapped. "I heard what Jasmine said to her. She knew about the affair for weeks but said nothing. I could have avoided all this if she'd just told me earlier. Instead, she kept quiet, probably made a deal with Jasmine that didn't go her way, and that's why she finally spoke up." "I get that," Terry said, "but she did tell you. Maybe not when she should have, but she still did before it was too late." He shrugged. "You need a bride. She's available. You know her better than any random woman you'll find now. Just call a wedding planner, send her shopping, and have her show up in a gown come the day after tomorrow. That's it. She says the vows, smiles for the cameras, sits beside you at the reception, and then back to her room. After 6 months, you pay her off and she vanishes. Done." Melvin closed his eyes and gripped his glass tightly. "Jasmine, you bitch," he muttered. "This is all your fault. You'll rot for what you did." "She will," Terry said. "She just doesn't know it yet." Back at the mansion, Anita stared at the clock. It was getting late. She hadn't been able to sleep much the night before. Her guilt gnawed at her. If she had told Melvin about Jasmine and Daniel the moment she found out, maybe all of this could have been avoided. She had let Jasmine's threats silence her. Now, she had lost Melvin's trust, possibly forever. Still, she went into the kitchen to make dinner. With Jasmine gone, someone had to do it. If Melvin came home and found no food, he'd only grow angrier. She knew she could be kicked out at any moment. But if that happened, she would swallow her pride and go to her half-sister Ivy. Even if Ivy hated her, they were blood. She would become her maid if that's what it took to survive. She finished preparing dinner and waited. As soon as she heard the car pull in, she rushed to set the table. When Melvin walked in, she greeted him softly. "Welcome back, sir. Dinner is ready." He walked to the table, looked down at the dishes, then looked at her. "This is dinner?" he asked coldly. "Yes, sir," she replied gently. Without a word, he grabbed the edge of the table and flipped it. Plates, cutlery, and food clattered to the floor. Anita froze, her heart in her throat. Melvin stared down at her with ice in his eyes, then turned and walked up to his room without saying another word. She stood there silently for a moment, then knelt and began to clean up the mess.